Everyone has a story. Stories have power.
Jillian, great to meet you.
Hi, nice to meet you too.
Let's go chat.
They help us understand each other.
Jillian, it's time to sign into Jessop's Journal.
Okay, it's an honor.
This is Jessop's Journal.
Hi, I'm Doug Jessop. Welcome to this episode of Jessop's Journal. With me today, Jillian Marty. So, Jillian, number one, thank you for coming in.
Sure, thanks for having me.
Now, a little birdie told me that you flew here, but not with wings, but well, I guess with wings, on a plane.
Mm-hmm.
Where'd you come in from?
From Worcester, Ohio.
Worcester, Ohio.
Yes.
Okay, scary but true. I actually know where that is. You know, so I did have a daughter that went to medical school at the Ohio State. So,
That's
but
the place.
anyways,
Yep.
tell me what it was like to grow up in Worcester.
It was a small town. There's really just two main drags. I mean, not a whole lot of traffic. A lot of people know each other. Great networking. Great school system. So, small town girl, really.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Tell me about your family.
I have a little sister, and she has a daughter. It's just the two of us girls. My parents lived in Worcester for about 30 years. My mom went to Canton South High School. My dad went to Tribway High School in Worcester.
So you were just Worcester through and through.
Yes, very confined until I branched myself out a little bit.
Well, so where did you branch?
I really was intrigued with Florida, so I moved to Center for Lavish down in Florida, and it just ended up trying to branch out down there just to really be around the sunshine and the ocean. So yeah, I love to travel. It's just one of my favorite things to do, so explore out of my parameter.
Yeah. Not a lot of ocean in Ohio.
No.
Okay. Well, I grew up in the other ocean, you know, in California, so I got you.
Cool.
So there was one picture of you that I thought was intriguing that somebody sent, that you are a hockey mom.
Yes.
Okay. Now, you're a hockey mom in a whole different sense, though.
Yes.
You've
I
actually
think so.
suited up.
Yes.
Okay, tell me about that.
It started with just trying to connect with my boys, you know, do something that they love, and just I thought I would try it out, but I didn't realize that it was just love and ice all the way. I just fell in love with it. So it's something that I do as a hobby and that I can connect with my kids, and we get to have that in common the rest of our life.
So were you a skater when you were a little kid?
I did like rollerblading and roller skating. I did like some competitive inline skating like way back in the day, but it certainly helped, but ice skating was a whole different ballpark. So I prefer that over everything though. It's a lot of fun.
We're gonna get a little personal here.
Sure.
Okay. So tell me about your family, you know, meeting your husband and such.
Sure. We met when we were younger, and comes from a great family. Love them to death. And through the years, we, had our kids, did our thing. He ended up having to have a surgery, and that surgery sent him off with just a few too many narcotics and landed him in the midst of a terrible heroin dependency, and it ended up taking his life from him. It left me with two beautiful boys and a whole new plan.
Now, there's one thing that I've heard about the court systems, that somehow this case got in there.
Yes, he was first case to hit the Ohio Supreme Court. They tried the dealers and the manufacturers, I guess, for manslaughter, and got their little slaps on the wrist there. But we relived his death for at least a year after, between newspaper and news and secret indictments and the police and all this stuff, just trying to put these pieces and parts together. But he wasn't your typical addict-like person. He wasn't your guy under the bridge with the brown paper bag kind of stereotype. He was a business owner, entrepreneur, super driven. He was an amazing father, super involved in our church. And so it really does hit all walks of life, which was something that a lot of people just don't realize. So, but yeah, it definitely took a toll on our family and rerouted what our plans were into something completely different for me as a single parent now. So,
Well, I'm sorry to hear for your loss.
Yeah, thank you.
So, you're now a single mom. You got two kids.
Mm-hmm.
Count on you. How old were they at the time?
Andrew had just turned 5 and Jordan had just turned 10.
Okay. So I'm a parent and I'm a grandparent, and I'm looking and saying, okay, and I got to think, and I was raised for a while there by a single mom.
Mm-hmm.
What went through your mind when it's like when this is all happening and you got these 2 kids depending on you?
I didn't even have time for a flight or flight mode, really. It was just, you got to do something now and be the kind of parent that has the flexibility to be there for them, rather than having to find time off or find coverage if they have a little school play or something and you don't want to miss it because it's just you. And the very first Christmas after I started my business, my little guy was, 6, and he just said, I guess you're probably not going to be able to make it to my program. And I said, well, actually, no, I can, since Mommy started her business. And when I walked in that gymnasium and saw him up there looking around and was able to connect with him, I was like, I'm doing the right thing. I have to fight for this. I don't have an option. And that was kind of my drive behind opening my own business so that I could be more available for their lives and to show them, even dismiss, a tragedy happening, to rise above it, to show them that, poor us and, just strictly survival and thriving is not an option. You take a tragedy and you take the scars from it and you build from it and you make something better. So leaving that legacy was like, yeah, I probably should do that for them. So
Wow. Well, that's impressive. So tell me about this. What's the name of your business?
it's Lavish Brows. It is a professional microblading and now laser-free tattoo removal with Tattoo Away certified center. It started off just as I had a microblading job done years before, just really wasn't super happy with it, and I was like, well, wait a minute. I just paid that lady $500. I can do this,
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to go back to school and, look into it. And so I did. I took a year-long program with a European standard school. Decided, like, here we go. I don't have an option to fail.
Okay. What in the world is microblading?
Microblading is a semi-permanent pigment that gets placed into the skin. It is manually drawn on. It can be done with a machine too, different methods. There's all different kinds of brows you can get, but I prefer doing the all-natural, drawn-on hair strokes to create an eyebrow for somebody. Beyond cosmetics, but for people that are my cancer survivors, their eyebrows just didn't come back. Alopecia, trichotillomania, thyroid disorder, and even man brows. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Well, now you talked about alopecia,
Yes.
and I know some people that have that, and for the people that don't understand what that is, it's a kind of a weird hair loss thing.
Correct. Yep.
Okay. Now you dealt with a hair loss kind of thing when you were a little kid.
Yes, it was a disorder that 1 in 10,000 Americans have it. It's very rare. It's called trichotillomania. It is a manic hair pulling disorder where it's, some people have very mild cases, which mine is considered mild. It's just manically pulling at eyebrows, eyelashes, just, it's a left-sided frontal lobed chemical dependent or deficiency, just serotonin, dopamine, all kinds of stuff missing. But in any event, it started when I was 5, and it was something that I grew up with my whole life. Kids are mean, and then I discover makeup when I'm in 7th grade, and I was like, okay, I can improvise on this. So it became a part of who I am, just, constantly figuring out the latest trend, or, having all my friends after high school hit me up, hey, can you do my brows after school? It just kind of became my thing. But never in a million years would I take my biggest vulnerability and think for a moment that I'd be able to use it to serve others and, make a profit doing it and create my own schedule. So my biggest vulnerability became my dream job. It just was a matter of discovering that, finding it out, and doing some soul searching with a greater purpose, and that was to be the best mom that I could be. So it all just kind of tied in together, and here I am.
Fantastic.
So, yeah.
Well, it sounds like your kids would be pretty proud of you.
I hope so.
Now,
I think they are.
So you told me off camera a story about your oldest son.
Yes. Starting your own business, having 0 business degree, not knowing what I'm doing, just totally took a leap of faith. It was scary financially. I wasn't sure how I was going to make it. You go from just having your steady paycheck, your insurance, your 401k, everything's just kind of good. But when you start your own business, you're like, oh my gosh, you don't have that set, like, you know, paycheck yet. And so there was days where, or months that went by where I was like, oh my gosh, am I gonna pay my electric bill or my heating bill? Like, what am I gonna do? And my son got his first job at the ice arena, and he must have heard me on the phone complaining about something like, you know, finances. And he came home and he gave me his paycheck, and I was just like, what's that? And he's like, I got you. Like, you have a dream, Mom. Like, I believe you're gonna do this. And I was like, no, it's not normal. Like, I appreciate that, but I'm supposed to be taking care of you. And he's like, we're not normal. I got you. And, you know, this year when I was able just to hand him back cash for every single penny that he gave me, he was like, I knew you'd do it. He was like, I wasn't worried. And it was just like, that was the validation that I needed from that one of the two people I needed to hear it from, that they saw what I was doing. It wasn't for nothing. And so my other son, he's been a pilot since he's been 3 years old, not even able to see out of the plane. And I remember my father-in-law asking him, like, oh, you know, are you just gonna be a commercial pilot? And he's like, no, I'm gonna, you know, work for NASA. And he was like, are you sure that's, you know, stable? You know, you really wanna, you know, and he was like, if my mom would have went and worked in a factory, she would never be where she's at. So I'm like, boom, 2020, validation from both people. That's what I thrived on. So from there up, I'm like, okay, their eyes are watching me. I cannot mess this up.
And so what are your boys' names?
Jordan and Andrew.
Jordan, Andrew. Hi guys, and thank you for investing in your mom, you know?
Yes.
So that's cool. So you go from that, and now you got this business. There are a lot of different people out there that are doing tattoos and everything like that. And I know the guys from Tattoo Away, and one of their little phrases is the wonderful world of regrets.
Yes.
Okay.
Very well put.
You know, I'm guessing that you may have seen a couple tattoos or even microblading that didn't quite go right.
Yes, that's the story of that business for sure. You never get a call that says, you know, I really like this, but it's gotta go. Unless it's somebody that's for the military and they're demanding that it needs to be gone, or flight attendants. I've had those girls be like, oh, I gotta get rid of this. But 9 times out of 10, it's regret. It's, you know, poor work, you know, just old, you know, I don't know why I would do this to myself. I thrive on the people that come in from prison and say, I was in a bad place. Will you remove these teardrops? I don't ask if they're real teardrops or why they earned them. I just like to get them off there. Or if there's any kind of gang symbols or something like that, that they want a fresh start. That's my passion behind doing the tattoos, because originally when I first started with the tattoo removal business, it was to remove bad microblading. And so the ability to now help others with poor choices in tattoos, it's just broadened my business and, you know, just my clientele in general. So yeah.
What is the favorite part of doing what you do professionally?
I like to create better self-esteem and confidence in people, or job opportunities that they might not be able to have if they're covered in tattoos and they need them gone. So it's really just building up another human and seeing that drastic before and after with microblading, and then the work I put behind the tattoo removal when that is finished. They're like, oh my gosh, thank you. And I didn't have to, you know, break the bank and do other methods, you know, that maybe would have taken longer or damaged my skin. So it's just the appreciation that I see in their face just when it's done. I'm just like, okay, this is why I do what I do. Or the people that, you know, cry after they get their new brows because they lost all of them during chemo. And I'm like, this is very gratifying for me to be able to give back to you. Just having that vulnerability my whole life, and knowing that, you know, when you're little and you can't go swimming with your friends because your makeup's gonna wipe off, or, oh, I hugged somebody, I just smeared my eyebrow on their shirt, you know, hopefully I'm not rocking one today, you know. So it's just those little things when people say you don't get it, like, I get it, and to be able to give that confidence back to another person, you know, that's what puts the drive behind my passion to help other people, for sure. So
well, I've interviewed hundreds, if not thousands, of entrepreneurs, and you know, money's a great little way to measure things, but 99% of the time, that's not the reason people got into it. There's, for lack of a better term, there's a passion.
yes.
So what is the passion behind what you do?
The passion behind what I do is my kids. I want them to see that I love what I do for a job and that I never have to say I have to go to work. I get to go to work. And I think that's super important as an example for them. But my passion really is in giving other people that self-esteem boost, the confidence, giving them something that they felt was missing, just developing new relationships with people all around. There's a lot of different perks about what I do, and the amount of amazing humans that I have met through this profession and the doors that it just continues to open just, by taking that leap of faith and, telling your family you're quitting the medical field to go do eyebrows and that you're not crazy for doing it. You have to believe in your heart of hearts that it's something that can thrive if it really is going to last beyond like, oh great, I met my financial goal, now what? Then that kind of fizzles out. But once you meet that financial goal, it only gives you the opportunity to keep building on your passion. It's not about a dollar amount goal, it's about what you're trying to achieve with the people that you help.
Okay, so I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit here. Okay, so you talked about goals.
Mm-hmm.
This sounds like one of those simplistic little stupid questions, but where do you see yourself, say, 5 years from now?
5 years from now, I would like to have my own studio space. Currently, I rent from my amazing doctors that have helped me along the way, that I worked with previously inside of their medical practice and Medi-Spa, so I just rent a little studio from them. But ideally, I'd like to have my own place, train different microbladers that have the heart and passion to do what I do, to expand, and just have my own location and just continue to build, so that way when I leave a legacy and I leave something behind for my children, they have something.
What's some of the questions that you get asked the most?
Tattoo removal, how many sessions? How long is it going to take? How much is this going to cost me? And then when I answer them, based on other consultations that they had with other companies and other methods, it's always like, seriously? Oh my gosh. Okay, it's just like it's an easy sell because it sells itself. So those are the main questions, or when's a good time to do it? Ohioans were selfish with our sun. So telling them that they can't get sun on it and go swimming, it's kind of like, I'm a little more busy in the fall. But there's those occasional brides that are like, I need this off now. So that's something with tattoo, that's probably the first couple ones that stick out of my mind. Microblading, it is finding out if they're a candidate, and that goes for both. Just making sure that somebody medically is able to have the procedure done based on some protocols on both ends. But with microblading, it's, are you going to shave all my eyebrows off before you do this? And it's like, no, we don't want to do that, because it's a barrier to protect the ink and it gives it that nice 3D natural look. So that's always a big question people have. But people are nervous. I mean, it's your face. It's something, during a consultation at the very end, after they pay for their deposit, I usually say, oh, thank you so much. I needed my first client. Thank you. And they're like, oh my gosh. I'm like, no. You got to ask those questions. You got to make sure that you did your homework, because, that's where you end up with botch jobs, So it's something that's super important that I encourage people before you get microblading. Find out where they went to school, how long. There's those 2-day certificates out there that's kind of scary. And how long have they been in practice? And do they have basic art abilities? It doesn't. You can teach somebody something, but sometimes it's just a natural flow if you have that gift there. So it's just do your homework before you get microbladed. But yeah, those are some of the questions that people ask.
The name of the series is called Jessop's Journal. This is my journal. And it's been, let's just say, well used, okay? And it's got all kinds of marks and scars on it, because to me, life comes with scars.
Sure.
Well, Rustico, the makers of that journal, has a hashtag called Leave Your Mark. So, Jillian, how do you want to leave your mark?
I want to leave my mark upon my 2 sons, my legacies, to not only work hard and be passionate about what you do and how you help other people, but have a lasting mark on every single individual that you come in contact with. I can honestly say I've hugged every single one of my clients. And I develop personal relationships. And so I think by doing that, that's how you can serve people better. So I guess leaving my mark would be to serve people positively and help them along the way, and have those two little people that are watching me from a bird's eye view say, okay, that's what I'm supposed to do. I think that's what I'm supposed to leave my mark for, because they're going to be way grander than I.
Well said.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for coming on
Sure.
Jessop's Journal.
Thank you for having me.
A couple other people we want to thank. Of course, you know, we've got the folks at Five Wives, the hand sanitizer, and yeah, they do make adult beverages. You don't want to get these mixed up, but that nasal spray from Clear, have you thought about, you know, you wash your hands, have you thought about washing your nose? Serious? It's good stuff.
good stuff.
Okay. And then, of course, there's Rustico that makes my journals. Taylor Cooperative makes my clothes. And hey, let's not forget JW Custom Hats. Here's the thing I want people to remember. Everyone has a story, including this lady right here. Everyone has a story. Stories have power. With another entry into Jessop's Journal and Jillian Marty, I'm Doug Jessop, ABC4 News.